What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sports Coach. I'm your host, Craig Bergner. I appreciate you stopping by today. We're talking head-to-head bass. Event number 2 taking place on the Winnebago chain. And when I say we, I have the man in studio, Tyler Corey. Tyler, what's happening?
Yo.
What's
ready
going
to
on?
talk some bass fishing.
Bass.
That's enough walleye in for now.
Dude, we are walleyed out for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
Let's shift gears to the bass, fellas.
Yep.
I wanted Kyle to be on to give him his props. Kyle Carpenter taking second place over the weekend in a nice bass event.
Yeah, Sturgeon Bay Open, one of the biggest ones in the state.
So congrats to Kyle and his partner.
Yeah.
Got a plethora of knowledge sitting on the couch right here. Did you give Kyle a little pointer or two before the old event?
Not really. He kind of figured that deal out on his and he was just 2 ounces shy. But I can't speak for him, but second place Sturgeon Bay Open's pretty dang good.
Yeah. I got to see pictures. He held up some pretty big fish.
Yeah.
He did a nice job. And, did it give you the itch, man? Were you like, should have been there?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
I wish I was fishing.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, they had a good weekend.
Yeah.
Good weather, a lot of fun, a good fish, and congrats to our very own Kyle Carpenter.
Yeah.
Second place. Nice job.
You got it.
Yeah. You would have won that thing, wouldn't you have?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I doubt it.
Yeah,
there's a lot of very, very, very good fishermen that fish that tournament, so that's where
caught some big bags
place.
there.
Yeah.
Now on that roster, were there any of our head-to-head guys fishing in that event as well?
A decent many, I believe. I should have had that coming in, but
that's okay, man. A
couple of them.
Hit me right now.
A couple of them, actually. I don't know. Typically there is. Typically the Lees fish. I know that the Van Aerts dabble up there. Warden Keene typically fish, so I did not notice any of their names on the roster, but I would be surprised if there wasn't some head-to-head guys up there.
Yeah.
Knocking the rust off headed into this event.
Yeah, so they've had a couple weeks off now.
Yep.
The weather has turned for the worse here in Wisconsin. Let's give a quick preview. How are we looking weather-wise?
May decided to be May again. Very, very unpredictable. We've talked about it with the Walleye League events. Inconsistency in the springtime can make for some tough fishing. Today, current conditions right now, 46 degrees, feels like 38, and it's going to rain for the next long while.
Yeah.
Once again, before the Bass League event, just like last year, we got heavy rain coming in, water levels changing. Tomorrow, rain early, cloudy in the afternoon, but our guys are going to deal with rain all morning long while they're out there. Northeast 10 to 20, rainfall near 1/4 of an inch.
Ugh.
So, the weather conditions for what we were hoping this bite would be, kind of a pre-spawn into spawn type bite. A lot of guys in the cut, a lot of guys fishing shallow, heavy cover fishing. If there's fish pulled in there already, I doubt that they're going to just dump out, but it's going to make them definitely tougher to catch.
Not only nasty weather, windy weather, but we're fishing on old lady Winnebago, who has proven to be quite brutal on the walleye side of things. So we'll see how those bass fellas handle this.
Yeah, we had an event about this time last year, and the weights were pretty good. That's why we kept this on the schedule. The weather was not like this, but in that event, we saw a lot of those fish just over 2 pounds. We also seen plenty of fish just under 2 pounds. Last year, those didn't count. This year, under these rules, under this format, I think Frederick and Turdowski could have had a couple days close to 100 pounds with the numbers that they were catching off of the infamous Chris Ron Point.
Yep.
We'll be interested to see if that comes into play, because all of a sudden, all those fish that they were weighing, the 110s, the 1.8s, the 112s, those are all counting towards the scorecard now, and you can get right in a hurry.
Yeah. I mean, we saw it pay off on the walleye side of things, the 1 pound mark.
Yeah.
Let's hammer it away, bass fellas.
Yeah.
Welcome to event number 2, guys. It's been a while. I feel like we're just kind of catching our footing here, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the bass guys bring to the table. Really rough conditions.
Yeah.
Winnebago's usually not very kind to anyone.
It's not going to be easy.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult day. As a fisherman, knowing the conditions, knowing the water body, knowing all of this is stacked up against you, how do you prepare? Is it you really got to mentally prepare yourself?
Yeah.
I'm going to be cold. I'm going to be wet. It's going to be frustrating.
Yeah.
Like, how do you get jacked for something like that?
Yeah, this is an event where it's going to be difficult to move around given the conditions. So if I'm going into this event as a tournament angler, I am looking to find an area where I can put my trolling motor down and spend the next 4 hours in productive water the entire time. Because the whole cycling through a bunch of places with a northeast wind at 10 to 20 is going to be difficult. It sucks to run in the rain. Like when you're driving, all of the open holes in your rain suit are leaking past what you have, and once you get wet and cold, you're done. So if I'm looking at this as a tournament fisherman, I am looking for a large area that I can just get in, put my head down, take out all the distractions. I'm probably not looking at the app. I'm not looking at it. I'm just going to catch what I catch, and I'm going to keep going. And I think we're going to see that from a lot of guys. This is a grinder type event. That's absolutely what it's going to be. It's just the same as when we were dealing with those last couple before the bracket last year, those late events where there's some of these matches that could turn into runaways. Bago is known for numbers of that 14, 15, 16-inch fish, which typically weighs between 2.8 and 1.8. You're going to see a lot of guys putting up some good weights, but you're also going to see some of these matches that are going to be 3 or 4 fish battles where guys just have to put their head down. And this is definitely an event where you could try and do too much and get burned by it. Okay.
Do you think the strategy going in here is going to be chasing the big fish? We see some of these duos go out there looking for the big ones.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's going to be the correct strategy to move forward? Or
I think that might hurt you in this one, to be honest with you. I think that this is going to be a numbers battle. I think you use that 1 pound minimum to your advantage and stack as much weight as possible. And it's a 3 pounder like we saw last year on the Bago system is a solid one, and a 4 to 5 pounder is a giant. So that's where you might spend your entire day chasing a couple of those bites. But if the cuts are on and guys are stacking 112 and you can put 5 or 6 of them on in an hour, you're equating to that 1 4-pound bite. So I think if someone can find an area that has some solid numbers of keepers and then the potential for a 5-pounder or a 4-pounder, that's going to be the person who separates
that themselves. Might just break the matchup wide open if you do land one of those big fish.
And you can stay on the pace.
Yeah.
Like you can catch that 4-pounder and then immediately 10 minutes later boat another one to keep the scorecard running.
Yeah. Well, we currently have one event in the books for the bass, so we have a little bit to go off of here. We now have standings, which is great. We know what these guys can do, and now the rookies have at least one event under their belt.
Yeah,
so that's
they
nice.
felt the pressure.
Yeah, they felt the pressure a little bit and kind of get a feel for what they're in for moving forward. So tomorrow, 6:45.
Yep.
Tyler starts yapping, and then lines in at 7.
7 o'clock.
Let's go.
And then 7 to 11, as much as you can stack.
That's right. So we will be talking matchups today, and then all important, our picks at the end.
Absolutely.
I think Andy's going to join us for some picks.
Hey, good deal.
And give us some picks as well. Yeah. So, looking forward to it. We can get right to matchup number 1. We got the Van Erts, Mitch and Dave Van Ert. They're taking on the Teshes, Brian and Ben.
Number 1 seed.
Let me just tell you, dude, Ben is an absolute hammer out there.
He's a stud, for sure.
He stepped right in, first event, and just dominated in event number 1. Kid looked like a veteran. He looked like a natural. He knows what he's doing. And his dad was under the weather.
Yeah.
Admittedly so. So he did like all the fishing basically on that boat.
He was calling the shots for sure.
And hats off to Ben. He walked away the number 1 seed after event number 1. But it's no easy matchup taking on 1-0 Van Erts. Van Erts walked away with 24 pounds last event. It's more important that they got the win. And yeah, man, how do you see this one shaking out?
This one's an interesting one because the Van Erts have a pretty good bit of experience on Winnebago. Obviously, Mitch was a part of that boat that went the number 1 seed last year in the regular season. The Teshes, from Winneconne have spent plenty of time on this system. And I think that that's something important to note, too. Winnebago is in play. The Upper Lakes are in play. Anything from the boom channel, mouth of the river, up is out. That's out of bounds. Everyone's staying in the lakes for this one. Unless something's changed, that was what we had talked about. And I think it's going to make for an interesting situation here because some of these guys may feel more comfortable on the river. With these conditions, I don't think the river would have played much anyways, but I think you're going to see both of these guys on the lake, in my opinion, unless Ben and Brian have some tricks up their sleeve in the Upper Lakes. Being from Winneconne, they've spent a ton of time on the water there. It's going to be interesting to see because the Upper Lakes can fire, like we saw with Frederick and Trudowski and Hoffman and Weston last year. Like there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the Upper Lakes, especially this time of year, that can play. I don't foresee Mitch and Dave being in the Upper Lakes. I think that they're going to be lake all the way. They're going to probably battle some conditions. You might see them mix in some smallmouth. I think that that's a risky play tomorrow with the wind.
In event number 1, we saw a lot of boats like congregate to a location.
Yep.
You think they're going to be more spread out?
I think we're going to see a lot of people spread right out.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see with the newly added pressure of, hey, we're head-to-head rookies. We came out in the first event. We stacked up a bunch of weight. We're sitting at the top seed. How do we manage this now? We're going into event 2. We don't have much to go off of as far as the standings. Our weight is going to carry us, but if we could start the season 2-0, boy, we are looking very, very good coming down the stretch. And both these teams have that same thing in their mind. If Mitch and Dave if the Van Aerts can stack up a pretty good bit of weight, they could be talking about the number 1 seed if they have a standout day on Bago like they did before and the Teshes lay an egg. So there's a lot of moving and shaking that can go on in this event. Don't know if you're going to see as much total weight as what we saw in the first one. We knew Little Butamore was going to show out on that deal. That's a strong bite early in the springtime. You can stack a lot of weight there. Bago, this time of year, given the conditions, has potential to put up a lot of good weight. Also has potential to be like what we've seen in the Walleye League the last couple weeks.
Yeah, the Teshes know what they're in for. A lot of respect being thrown the Van Aert way. Teams speak very highly of Mitch and Dave as a duo. It should be a really fun, fantastic matchup. Top 4 teams going at it here. Also, quick plug. If you want to learn a little bit about Ben Tesh, did an interview with him. Fantastic kid. Really great future ahead of him, heading off to college. You want to learn about his scholarship and all that fun stuff, take a look on our site and, give a listen to Ben's interview. It's a great listen, 20 minutes of your day, and you'll enjoy it. Yeah, big fan of Ben.
Yeah.
And clearly he came out and wasn't fazed by the moment whatsoever.
Right.
Quarter 1, they put up almost 37 pounds. So these guys, they knew the task at hand, and they came out and did it. I'm looking forward to this. This will be a great match.
Yeah, a very standout matchup right off the bat. I think that this one's got all the makings. I think we're going to spend a lot of time in these two boats throughout this matchup because I think that they're both going to be catching fish.
Yeah. Anything else with these two?
Not really. I think we roll on to the next.
Let's go. The number 8 seed at 0-1, Logan Keene and Matthew Ward. They're taking on the number 2 seed, Meng and Chi Lee. Hop aboard the Lee train, folks. Yeah, they put up 38 pounds in event number 1. I have we can go off the standings. Yeah, we can go off the weight, but this is going to be a totally different beast here in event number 2. But still, the Lees know what they're doing, and they are all in on this season. So what do you see shaking in this one? This
is another very good matchup. Both of these guys are well-versed on Winnebago. I think that this is probably going to be our out-in-the-lake smallmouth battle, if I have to guess.
Sure.
I don't know. I haven't talked to either of these teams, don't know what their practices look like, but I know that Meng was in the shop. Kyle was talking about what we might have to do if this weather worsens from what they were calling for, and Meng said, bring it on. I want to go.
Okay.
Let me out.
Yeah.
Because these are his kind of conditions. A lot of people get scared off of Bago when stuff gets rough. And it's because it's a pain to fish. Like, it's tough to position. It's tough to stay on fish. The fish move around a lot with the wind, but the Lees have the experience under these conditions. So I don't think that they're a team that's going to get phased by the brutal weather. I don't think that Logan and Matt are either. They proved it last year. They're going to stick it out in the lake no matter what. So it's kind of, I know Ming does a lot of stuff on the east side as well, but Matt and Logan are all in on the east side, it seems like, just watching them last year.
Okay.
They put up some great numbers days towards the beginning of last season as well. Once again, not 2 pound. So the scorecard didn't look great for them, but they were catching a lot of fish, and a lot of those fish would have went 1 pound. So this is very interesting here. I like the makings of this matchup. This is Bago versus Bago. Both of these guys know this system really well, and it's going to be a high-scoring, heavy-hitting matchup if I have to guess.
Yeah, both of these are experienced teams as well. Nothing's going to shock them here in head-to-head, and it might just come down to who can handle the elements a little bit better. Who isn't fazed by being freezing cold,
right,
covered in rain. Yeah. And the Lees, I just have a feeling, man, like they're going to pull a big one or two out of the lake, and that's gonna be the difference here.
I totally agree. I think that Matt and Logan are fishing with a chip on their shoulder after that first loss. They want to right that wrong. They don't want this to be a repeat of last season.
Yeah.
I think that they're gunning for getting back to 500, 1-1 after this event. And the Lees have stated their intentions pretty clearly. They are coming for that number 1 seed, and for them to be sitting at number 2 after event 1, especially with the performance that we saw them put up in event 1, that is a dangerous boat. Both of these guys are in one right now for this matchup, and I can't wait to see how this one shakes out, because I don't think either of these teams are holding back at all.
Good TV. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I think it's going to come down to who can snag a big fish and who can handle the elements in this one. Two very worthy duos here.
Yeah, I think this matchup is determined between the ears, without a doubt.
Okay.
Whoever can stay mentally strong all 4 hours and not let the conditions get to them, let the way live get to them, let the bite get to them. Whoever can stay in it for 4 hours is probably going to be the one who wins this.
Yeah.
And that sounds obvious, but that's how it is, man. Easier said than done, without a doubt. And it could be whoever comes out in the first quarter and puts up a strong weight, because now you have even more elements stacked against you. If you're trying to come back from behind, it's blowing like crazy, it's raining sideways, and you're having to battle all of the demons that come along with the terrible conditions. Your trolling motor won't stay in the water. Your forward facing will not stay in the water. You are constantly bouncing in the waves. You cannot move around. There's no more helpless feeling than when you are out and it's rough. And it's like, my plan B is 15 miles across this rough lake right now, and I don't know what to do, because it's going to take me an hour to get over there without it under the conditions. And what I'm doing right now isn't working, so I probably should, but is it risk versus reward?
Are we going to see teams just not move?
Yeah,
okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think we've seen it before.
Yeah.
We've seen it on rough waters that teams just, they don't want to put their equipment through that. They don't want to put their bodies through that. Yeah. Like, we'll pick a spot and we'll deal with it.
And it's a simple mathematical equation. You can get to a spot a lot quicker at 70 than you can at 25. And if the waves are that big, that's what you have to go.
Yeah.
So I could be totally off base on this matchup. We could see both of these teams in the cuts fishing for largemouth. It would not surprise me given the conditions, but if there are two teams that are going to stick it out on the main lake and try and make it happen in the wind, at least.
If you're unable to move around like that, does that limit what you can do as far as adjustments? Because you fishermen are all about the adjustment, right? And the conditions are going to be brutal. They're going to be ever-changing throughout. Are they going to be able to make those adjustments that we talk about so frequently?
There's plenty of adjustments to be made. The obvious, easiest adjustment that you can make is areas, right?
Yeah.
That is out of play. Now you're dealing with a much smaller micro adjustments within your area, right? When I'm under these conditions, I often shrink my body of water. So the whole system's in play, obviously, but if it's difficult for me to move around, I might limit myself to this 3-mile radius. And if I can stay in an area that's full of good stuff within that 3-mile radius, now I'm making micro adjustments.
Sure.
It takes me 10 minutes to change spots, or I change bait, or I change presentations. I move 15 feet further out, or I try and look deeper with my forward facing instead on the bank. Those kind of micro adjustments, very easy to make under these conditions. And honestly, sometimes it helps you because as an angler, your immediate first adjustment that you want to make is, this area is bad. I am not catching them the way that I want to. I'm going to change areas. When that's taken out, all of a sudden you have to make those micro adjustments. And a lot of times those fish are still there. You just have to figure out how to make it go.
Is any of their pre-fishing in play here?
If you pre-fish for the conditions, and I think that a lot of these guys are smart enough to know that, hey, this is what we will be dealt. If I'm fishing a tournament and things are looking like this, that's how you have to practice. You got to practice for the conditions that you're dealt. You can't just assume that I'm going to be Superman and run all the way across the lake and try plan B when the conditions are like this. And you can't even practice. You got to just put that stuff out of your mind and practice small.
Sure. All right. Should be a great one between these two.
Yeah, this is... I'm really looking forward to seeing how this one shakes out.
Heck yes. All right, our number 6 seed, Gagnow and Malika, they cannot buy a break ever. They put up 40 pounds in event number 1 and got the loss. They take on Ty Hansen and Kyle Puela. The number 3 seed, they're 1-0, 32 pounds in event number 1. Let's go back to Gagnow and Malika. These guys... They came out hot. They faced the number 1 team in the entire bracket. And then they put up 40 pounds and still get a loss. We saw this over and over again with these two last season. They can't buy buckets. They're trying so hard, putting up great weights. They just always are against the top team or the second to top team. Just really tough draws. And that's the beauty of head-to-head, right? Yeah. You face who's in front of you. A very, very worthy duo right here. Yeah. They can win any matchup at any time on any given day. And then they're taking on Hansen, who he'll let you know. He's ready to win this whole thing. How's this one going to shake out?
Yeah, one important thing to note is right now it's looking like Tyson is going to be alone.
Oh.
That's
a curveball.
Kyle's working. All these guys, none of these guys do this professionally aside from Matt and the Steffens. We'll get there.
Yeah.
But Kyle's on a job right now. It's not looking like he's going to be able to make it. If he does, there's no pre-fishing involved. This has not been top of mind for him given the work stuff.
Yep.
It has been top of mind for Tyson. I know that he has been putting his time in on the water, trying to figure this deal out to try and win this match. So as the fan polls aren't up yet, they'll be up right after this, but we wanted to kind of give you the precursor of how everything lays before you jump in and make your votes. And Tyson's likely going to be alone in this one, and that's difficult. Mm-hmm. Like we've seen on the walleye side with Okada, like we saw last year, being solo is not as easy as it seems, and we'll see. It's going to be interesting, and I think that Tony and Jeff, Malika and Gagnow are licking their chops for this one. They struggled in that. I shouldn't even say that they struggled. They put up a great weight in that first one.
I think they had the second highest weight of the. Yeah, they did. Second highest weight of event number 1 and took the loss.
They both feel very proficient on Little Lake Butamore. Tony would consider that probably his home fishery.
Okay.
Spends a ton of time out there. Last year, a loss on that fishery. This year, a loss on that fishery. Some tough things that went on during both of those events for those guys. They want to get that monkey off their back. They want to get back to even, and they want to get their season back on track. That being said, they enjoy talking to them, knowing kind of their story. They seem to enjoy the underdog story. They like to be the ones kind of lurking in the shadows. It doesn't bother them when they see the fan polls and they're below whoever they're facing. They're like, it is what it is. We're going into it just the same, just like we are always. We just want to know at the end of the week. We just got to do our deal and we'll be fine. So
it's wild that they're ever behind in any fan polls because they're a fan favorite.
Yeah.
The fans love them. The interaction with them, they're always very kind and very uplifting, and they do a great job teaching on the boat. Shocked that they ever lose any fan votes. Yeah.
So they had a very strong event 2 last year, which was similar timing, a little earlier than this one, but similar timing. They know Winnebago really well. Jeff spends a lot of time out on the lake and out on the upper lakes. Tony puts in his time on the upper lakes and on the lake. So that it's going to be for no lack of experience on the water with these two.
Did Tyson not have a sub? Do they not have a sub that they're going to call in?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
So Tyson's a very good fisherman. He's done very well on the Wisco, which is a single series. He makes good decisions by himself.
Yep.
Taking the river out of play for him, I believe, is a bit of a disadvantage, just because he spends a lot of his time up there in the spring, but the guy also spends plenty of time on the upper lakes and on the big lake. I don't think that this is an event that's going to phase him at all. The conditions for his style of fishing are not ideal. He's not someone. He made it very clear last year. Mitch is a camper. He likes to set up shop and catch everything in the area, whether that's 1 bass or 100 bass. He's going to set them up and he's going to catch every last one of them. Tyson is looking for the biters. He likes to move around. He likes to cover a lot of water. With his style, the conditions that we have are not ideal.
Yeah, not going to be able to move too much.
And Tony and Jeff can play both sides, it seems like. They've camped in some events. They've moved around in some events. So that's an interesting dynamic for sure within this matchup. And it's honestly probably going to come down to what kind of pace Tyson can set 1 line in the water versus 2.
The positive, if there's going to be a positive, Tyson by himself, he's going to have no one to second guess any choice that he makes.
Very true.
You want to go out in the rough waters? Fine. That's on you.
Yep.
No discussion needed. You're just going to go do it. So if there's a positive underlying any of this stuff, that's got to be it.
Right.
Just Tyson, wholeheartedly confident, believes in himself. He's just going to go do it.
Yep.
So we've seen it play out before, though. The solo acts are it's just such
tough.
an uphill climb for those solo fishermen.
Yeah.
But look at the walleye guy, man. We saw Joel Cotta just hammer big fish after big fish last event. So it's definitely doable. It's just a lot of elements that Tyson has to overcome in this event. Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think if Ty can jump out to a good start,
that'll help.
That'll help a bunch.
Yeah.
If Tony and Jeff can put the weight on him right off the bat, though, that's going to put the pressure on.
Russian,
Yep. Yeah, and as much as I hate to say it, I think Malik and Gagnow know that this is not a gimme at all. This is going to be another tough matchup, and there is potential, as crazy as it sounds, for them to start 0-2.
Yep.
Even if they put up another solid day. So this another fun matchup to watch for sure.
And you know darn well that Tyson wants to go 2-0.
Oh, yeah.
He's chasing that number 1 spot.
He wants to repeat.
Yes. Heck yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything more on that one?
I don't think so.
Here we go. Riley Richard, John Hanman, our number 10 seed.
Yep.
0-1, put up 10 pounds in the first event. They're taking on Matt and Hank Steffen.
Yep.
Our number 9 seed. 11 pounds in event number 1. What's the news on Steffens?
So Matt is actually down fishing MLF heavy hitters in Virginia right now, Smith Mountain Lake. So neither of these anglers will be able to make it. Obviously, Hank can't drive a truck. Hank can't drive a boat. No sub for them. I think the whole family's down there watching. I don't know that for sure, but it's a huge event for Matt. A lot of money on the line. The guy has a very established professional career. No slight to them at all.
Yep.
Putting the priority on the MLF heavy hitters. That being said, they're not going to be on the water, and it is a guarantee, no matter what happens, that John Hammond and Riley Richard are going to be sitting at 1-1 after this event.
So if I understand this correctly, what if Richard and Handman go out and score 0? Do they still get the win? Because they showed up.
That's interesting.
I honestly don't know the answer to that.
I don't know either. I don't think that we've ever been under these circumstances before, but
Could it literally be a tie, 0-0?
Technically, that goes to a tie, which then would run down our tiebreaker list.
Okay.
Which, if there is no dink recorded,
Right.
if John Hammond and Riley Richard go out there and literally blank, do not catch a bath, I think it comes down to season total weight, and that would give the win to the Steffens, I believe.
If
there's
Kyle's
still
around, can we get a ruling here?
Yeah, we need to confirm this before
I'm very interested in how this actually plays out. Would that not be something if they don't even show up to the event,
right? And
they get a win?
Yeah, and I guess that would be
wild.
The technicality. If you don't show up, are you technically forfeiting the match?
I'm not sure. I would assume so, but
right. We'll have to check on that before we go live tomorrow, because that is an interesting deal there.
If the commission's around.
Yeah. I have no doubt that John's got a sub. Riley can't make it. Riley's out of town.
Okay.
It'll be Hunter Van Dice in the boat with John Hammond. So they'll be out there together doing their deal. And I have no doubt that they'll be able to put a scorable on the board, and we won't even have to run through this. But this is head-to-head. Anything can happen. You never know, and crazier circumstances have arisen within this league. So we'll see. I don't know.
If I'm a betting man, I'm going to put my money on Handman winning this.
Yeah, I think so.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
If we caught Kyle's ear at all, we'll have him, and we'll get a ruling, and we'll let you all know. But for the time being, no Steffens. Good luck in your tournament.
Yeah,
crush it.
They are in competition right now. I have not checked the scoreboard, but they are on the water fishing right now.
A little nicer weather, I'm assuming, for them in Virginia.
Yep.
All right, our last matchup, Chris Frederick and Ron Twardowski, our 7 seed. They put up 17 pounds in event number 1. They're taking on Steffens in 13th currently.
Hey.
Heck yeah, let's go. They're taking on Dale and Grant Neubauer at 1-0. They're our 5 seed, put up 12 pounds in event number 1. I appreciate the youngster, Neubauer, spunky little dude. Just full of life. And
I was impressed by that duo in event 1. I wasn't sure what to think. Obviously, head-to-head rookies didn't know the skill set or anything. If they're throwing their hat in the ring, I know that they're probably pretty good fishermen, and they proved it.
X Games. That's what those two are. Yeah, extreme sports for those two. And then the old Wiley vets.
That's right.
Frederick and Twardowski. Like, man, we've seen it time and time again, year after year. They're a good duo.
They're hanging around.
They are hanging around.
Always hanging around.
And fully capable of winning any matchup put in front of them. How's this one going to look?
Oh, this one is tough to judge. I have no doubt that Frederick and Twardowski will probably be going after largies in the cuts like we've seen before. They like a few different largemouth areas around the lakes and the upper lakes. It'll be interesting to see where they put in the morning. They're all in on Bago. If they're all in on the upper lakes, they know the system really well. They've spent a ton of time here fishing other tournaments, fishing our tournaments. They're well-versed. On the flip side, I don't know how much experience the Neubauers have on the Winnebago system. I know that Grant's been fishing some BFLs. BFLs typically make a stop in Winneconne at least once a year in the Great Lakes division. I would assume that he's seen this body of water before. He's very much a Mississippi River guy. He likes flowages, he likes rivers, he likes current. So, with the river being out of play in this one, and it just being the big lake, I'll be interested to see. The Neubauers are definitely largemouth specialists from what their skill set comes from. Mississippi River, marsh-style fisheries, northwest Wisconsin. I think that the upper lake sets up really well for their style. It just may be a time on the water. What area are we going to get in? How much can we move around? How are we trying to do too much? Are we trying to do too little? I'll be very interested to see. This is kind of a wild card for them.
Yeah. With Grant is the younger one, right?
Yep.
Okay, with Grant being young, do you think at this stage of his fishing career, he's faced weather elements like this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
So this isn't going to be anything new or shocking.
I don't think so.
Because if you're walking out and that's the first time you've faced any of that, good luck to you.
Yeah. I think he's been around tournament fishing plenty long enough to know that he's going to put his hard hat on and he's going to go to work.
Yeah.
And that's going to be that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, different styles should be fun. See what they do. See where the Neubauers land. And like you said, this one could be a total coin flip here.
Yeah. I think Frederick and Trudowski want to turn this season around. I think that they had a pretty solid game plan coming into event one. The conditions in that one kind of backfired on them. Their largemouth didn't fire. I think they're going to lock in on largies just like they did in event one, and I think that they're going to put up a solid weight. Whether Neubauers can answer the bell or not, we'll see.
We will see. All right. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Do you want to run down should we run down the standings?
Yeah.
Okay, standings. Tesh and Tesh, number 1. Lees, number 2. Hansen, Puela, number 3. Van Ertz, number 4. Neubauers, number 5. We have 5 undefeated teams currently.
Yep. 1-0.
Yeah, and there won't be 5 undefeated teams after this week.
I think we'll see some major flip-flops after this one, just like we seen in Event 2 in the Walleye League. I think that our weights are going to be even more than what we saw in Event 2 on the Walleye League, which is going to make that leaderboard shift around even more. Those tiebreakers are going to be altered further than what they are. We saw some teams put up some really strong weights in Event 1, just like we did on the Walleye League. And some teams really struggle. And for the Steffens to not be able to add anything to their total from Event 1, that they got an uphill battle to climb. I know Matt and Hank are very good fishermen. I think that they not seeing Little Lake Butamore before was kind of a disadvantage for them. I'll be interested to see if they can dig their way out of this hole, because I know that they have that championship circled on the WPAC chain.
It's too bad we're not going to get to watch Hank on the boat again.
I know.
Hank was a lot of fun. We'll see him in event number 3, though. And then 6 through 10, Malakau Gagnow. I mean, that 40 pounds is going to help them in the long run here. A loss in event 1, fine. That stinks. But having that much weight, the next closest weight at 0-1 is 17 pounds. So huge gap between them.
Yeah.
Now they just got to start stacking W's, and they'll be just fine. Twardowski, Frederick are in 7th. Ward and Keene 8th. Steffens in 9th. And Richard Handman in 10th. We're going to see a lot of shakeup in the standings. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll see how it all plays out. But the moment everyone's been waiting for, we are going to make our picks for event number 2. I'm feeling good about myself. I'm 5-0 right now.
Yeah.
I have no blemish on my record. But
I had a rough one in event 1.
I feel like event 2 is going to be it's going to be tough.
It's a toss-up.
It's a toss-up.
A lot of these matches are a toss-up.
The weather, a lot of stuff in play here. All right, Ty, I will let you start. Matchup number 1, the Van Ertz taking on the Teshes. Where are you going?
Van Ertz.
Okay. Confidently with the Van Ertz.
I think that their experience on the lakes is going to play in their hand. And just like I talked about, Mitch is a camper, Dave is a camper. I think if they can get in an area that it's going down, they are going to be tough to beat.
Okay. Andy, who are you going with?
I'm going to go with the Teshes.
And I am also with the Teshes. All right, matchup number 2, Keene and Ward taking on the Lees. Y'all know I'm going with the Lees. Where are you going, Andy?
Lees, 100%.
Okay.
I think I'm also going Lees.
All right, clean sweep by the Lees. Matchup 3, Gagnow, Malika taking on Hansen, Puela. Hansen solo act. That throws a little monkey wrench in here. Andy, where are you going with this one?
I'm going with Hansen with the underdog story.
Ty?
Malik and Gagnow.
I'll go Gagnow. Now I come in here with my picks all done. I had Gagnow and Malika, but I'm flipping that switch.
You think Ty's going to pull it off on his own?
I just think that everything is so piled against him. It's just got that feel, man.
Yeah.
He's got that feeling.
And he's proved it before.
I could be off by 400 pounds here, but what are you going to do? All right. Richard Handman taking on nobody.
It's a tough one, guys.
All right. I think we're all
This is a
landing.
toss-up.
All landing with Handman here?
Yeah.
Okay. And the last one, the coin flip. Frederick Twardowski taking on the Neubauers. Ty, I'll let you start this one.
I'm going with the grizzly old vets. I think Frederick and Turdowski pull this one out.
Okay. Andy?
Neubauers.
I had Frederick and Twardowski highlighted. This is going to bite me, but I'm flipping.
You're going Neubauers.
I'm going Neubauer.
All right.
I'm
out on an island here.
You stacked.
Yeah.
You stacked a lot against the Neubauers, which made me jump ship on Frederick and Twardowski. So I'm headed here. I'm going with the youngster, and I'm going with Grant on this one. So there we go.
Yeah.
It should be a lot of fun event too.
It will be a lot of fun.
6:45. Ty starts talking, getting us ready, getting us prepared. Yeah, man. I can't wait to see what these guys do in these conditions, and let's just see how nasty Mother Nature is gonna be.
Absolutely.
It could be a real bear tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We'll see.
You bet.
6:45. Ty starts talking. 7 o'clock. Lines in. You can catch all the action, YouTube and on Fix. Till we see you tomorrow. Be great.